Ladies and gentlemen, this Red Gaming Theatricon video, we're going to be discussing recent comments from John Carmack in regards to the PlayStation 4 and the Xbox One in terms of their memory. So the PlayStation 4 in particular has had a lot of press and publicity in regards to how the console is designed and how much memory it has. And John was asked, and I quote, "Do you think the jump to 8 GB on consoles is significant? PC games were very, very slow to even require 4 GB. John responded to this and he said, and I quote, "I don't think it will make games look very different, but it will help them to be developed somewhat quicker and easier." End quote. Now, some people are kind of surprised about this because on the face of it, it seems a fairly strange comment. Indeed, I've heard some arguments that they most likely would have gotten better performance with less memory, and this isn't from John Carmack, this is just from various tech websites and so on, but some are stating that they would have been better off going with higher bandwidth and instead of so much memory. So for example, 4 GB of GDDR5 memory would probably have been better with a larger bus. In other words, have higher bandwidth. However, I would also counter this argument because remember, the PlayStation 4 for the most part has been fairly well balanced in terms of, I don't like that word after Microsoft have used it so much, but sometimes you just have to utilize a certain descriptive term. Regardless, I believe that Sony did basically balance the amount of memory bandwidth required for the PS4. Of course, Xbox One and the PS4 both have 8 gigs of RAM, but I'm going to speak about the PS4 just for a moment. Obviously, some people have already started commenting on the memory latency of GDDR5, which is trash. It doesn't really make a difference. The memory bandwidth and latency of GDDR5 in terms of, well, the memory latency anyway is, I believe, 1 ns, something like that, slower than DDR3. That was from pure memory. I have done videos and articles on this, so you can check those out if you're curious. You can simply search GDDR5 versus DDR3 and it will pop up, or GDDR5 latency will also pop up on the channel. And to be honest with you, I'm not of the mindset that, of course, latency is going to be a big issue. They are, in terms of both the PS4 and the Xbox One, fairly efficient with memory bandwidth as well. The PS4, from what developers have spoken about, it's not 176 GB in real-world performance. You're looking about 172. Obviously, you get a little bit of drop-off because of theoretical, peak performance versus actual real performance. To be fair to Microsoft with the ESRAM, they've actually given real-world performance for the most part on an analysis. They've said that peak performance and real-world performance, they've given a real-world performance of about 140 GB per second for the ESRAM, but of course that's got its own inherent problems with rather limited memory. I think that definitely will help the development speed. Obviously, both systems have a portion of memory which has been allocated purely for operating system functionality. One would also have to remember that just the game assets minus video assets, so these are things such as AI, these are things such as sound and scratch files and whatever else, those came to about 1.5 gigs, and not including the video files. If you include things such as textures and everything else, that comes to about 3 gigs, which is quite a substantial amount of RAM to say the least. After all, the textures alone are about 1.3 gigs, which is pretty damn substantial. But of course, that's just the way the console was designed. So I think it's far too early yet to actually know. Some could argue that it's just not enough memory. That they just don't have enough GPU/CPU performance to fully utilize it. Others would also point out, of course, that because of a certain amount of memory which is allocated to the system, because obviously consoles now have to do far more than just play games, which is understandable and is cool. They've also got much heavier operating systems. They've got much more that they need to run in the background. Obviously, you've got things such as the ability to share, and to be honest with you, it also helps to provide a much smoother experience with the operating system, being able to, for example, use web browsers and whatever else while you're actually in the system. Obviously, Microsoft are heavily pushing things such as the ability to snap applications in and out, and we know, of course, that's quite heavy in memory usage, and that's one of the reasons that Microsoft originally went with DDR3, because they just wasn't sure about the quantities available for GDDR5 back in the day when they were originally kind of penning out the system. Anyway, that's just about it for this particular video. I guess we'll just have to see if John's right or not, but for now I'm going to get going, so hopefully you've enjoyed the video. I'll see you soon. Take care. Bye for now.